I wish to convey my extended thanks for all the organizers like Ras and Yash Agarwal, Danish for providing me this wonderful opportunity to speak on this ALM for Power platform in the boot camp. And thanks once again for providing me this wonderful opportunity. And thanks everyone for joining today. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Since people have joined from the different parts of the world, so I wish to convey my good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And today's topic is like ALM for the Power Platform. Before getting into today's topic, let me give a little bit of introduction about myself. Myself, Dharanidharan Balasubramaniam. People call me Dharani. I'm leading the Malaysia and Tamil Nadu the business applications and Power Platform user group, and also I'm part of ASEAN's business applications and Power Platform user group, and I'm working as a computer scientist with Adobe, and I'm a MVP in the business applications area. On the screen, I'm flashing all my contact details like LinkedIn, blog, and Twitter. And if you have any questions related to the ALM or the CI/CD for Dynamics 365 CE, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy and glad to assist you on your queries. And in the session also, if you have any queries, please feel free to put your questions in the chat window. I'm happy and glad to assist you on your queries. And here is the quick agenda of today's session. Today we'll see what is ALM and why ALM is so important, and we'll see the build automation for the Power Platform, and we'll get into the demo summary, and then we'll finally the question and answers. So before getting into this Power Platform, ALM for the Power Platform, let's take some time and understand what is ALM and why this ALM is so important nowadays. Like ALM is the life cycle management of applications, which includes governance, development, and maintenance. If you ask me, ALM is a really an umbrella term that covers several different disciplines that were traditionally considered separate, including the project management, requirements gathering, development, testing, quality assurance, as well as the customer support and the IT service delivery. And this ALM provides an standardized system for the communication and the collaboration between the software development teams and the related teams such as test and operations. These tools can automate the process of software development and the delivery. To the end, ALM combines the discipline that concerned with all the aspects of the process to achieve the goal of driving the efficiency through predictable and then a repeatable software delivery. And if you ask me what are the key areas of ALM, governance, application development, and maintenance, these three are the main key areas of the development. Like governance include requirements gathering, resource management, data security, user access, change tracking, review, audit, deployment control, rollback. All these things comes under the governance area. And application development, by the name itself, we understood it includes identifying the problems, planning, designing, building, and testing the application. This area includes like a traditional developers and which is the app maker roles in the Power Platform. And next we do have the maintenance phase. This includes like the deployment of the app and the maintenance of the optional and the dependent technologies. So as I mentioned, this ALM is a cyclical software development process that involves all these areas like plan and track, develop, build and test, deploy, operate, monitor and learn. In today's session, we'll mainly see how we can build and deploy the components, how we can build and deploy the components from one instance to the other instance. And here is the thing, like why the ALM is so important. In the past, before the Agile Manifesto was published, and before organization realized that their previous waterfall approach to the software development was inefficient and prone to scrap keep, and they were resulted in a cost overrun, and they were missing the deadlines. Each of these are disciplines that made up the overall software development process. It's a separate one actually. Once the organization started realizing like how much more efficient they can be having this integrated teams, with that they can collaboratively define the requirements, plan the releases and the sprint, test the product during the development, and deploy the latest in a seamless way. The old process did not make sense at all. So ALM is basically fusing together of all the disciplines that concerned with all the aspects of the software delivery process. Like what the main benefit we do get out of this ALM is like earlier, if you see in the earlier approach, the business analyst will work in a vacuum to define the vision and the requirement. And once he has done his work, he need to hand off the design to the developer, and the developer will hand off the code to the testers, and the testers will hand off the product to the IT support team to deploy and maintain. Now we have this single ALM process spanning all these elements, continuously delivering new features every X weeks. We now expect a update to our system and apps continuously rather than major release. As a human, we always expect a new release at least like 3 weeks or 4 weeks once we are expecting and release rather than this major new release. So this is why this the ALM is so important, and we need to start using this ALM in our projects actually. And other than this, what other benefits we are getting is like the shorter development cycles and faster innovation and reduced deployment failures. So rollbacks can be easily done, time to recover, and improved communication collaboration between all the teams. As I mentioned, it is increasing the efficiency, and also it is reducing the cost and IT head count. All those things making us to think of to implement the ALM for our projects. This how started the companies also started implementing the ALM for the all their projects actually. So now let's take a time and understand how we can implement the ALM for our Power Apps, Power Automate, and the common data service. Now it is not a common data service; it is an Dataverse, so it is not changed actually. So, in order to achieve the ALM for the Dataverse, the Power Platform, the main thing what we need is like the solutions. The solutions are the main mechanism for implementing the ALM in the Power Platform, because we use the solutions to distribute the components across one environment to other environment. So the components, what is component? If you ask me what is component is something you can potentially customize. If you see in a Power Platform, so we can call the site maps, apps, entities, fields, charts, and in the Dynamics 365 CE part, you can call the plugins, custom assemblies, web resources, all those things you can call this as a components, because these are the components you are going to potentially customize. Okay. All these components will be put inside a solution, and we will take the solution from one environment and to another environment. And this CDS or the Microsoft Dataverse stores all the artifacts including the solutions. And for sure we need the source control. Source control will be our source of truth for storing and collaborating all our components. So the source control is mainly required. And how we are going to achieve it, there are two main paths while working with the solutions in a source control system. Like you can export the unmanaged solution and place it as an unpacked in your source control system, and this build process imports the packed solution as an unmanaged into one temporary build environment. Here you need an intermediate environment, one sandbox environment as a build environment, to make sure like whether what are the packed solution is packed properly or not. Then export that solution as a managed from the build environment and store it as a build artifact in your source control system. And the next approach we do have is like you can export the solution as unmanaged and also export the solution as a managed, and place both the solutions in your source control system. Although this method does not require an build environment. In the previous point we have seen like we need one intermediate sandbox environment, the build environment, but over here that is not required, because over here we are directly going to export both the managed and unmanaged solution, and we are going to place both the solutions in our source control system. And for our deployment, so based on our requirement, what if it is an QA environment, then we will pick the unmanaged solution and we can move it there. Or if it is an UAT environment, then we can pick the managed solution and you can move it to your target environment. And here for today's demo, I am using the Azure DevOps. You can use any source control system and build a pipeline to start with for the continuous integration and continuous deployment. However, so today I'm going to focus on this Azure DevOps. In the Azure DevOps, I will be showing us how you can leverage the Power Platform build tools and you can build your ALM process for the Power Platform. Even you can use your GitHub. The GitHub actions are available, so using the GitHub actions also you'll be able to achieve it. Even you can use the Bitbucket, Jenkins pipeline. So what are the pipelines you want, you can use it. Similarly, what are the source control system, so if you want you can use it. But in order to use the Power Platform build tools, so which is an extension along with the Azure DevOps. So in order to use the Power Platform build tools, for sure you need to use this Azure DevOps as your source control system. And how I ended up in this ALM for this Power Platform was like I faced a few challenges when I was working as a platform engineer for one of the Power Platform project. At the time, I have faced a few of the key challenges. So what I was facing is like the solution files were manually exported and imported to a target and deployment process. Every time we do the manual export and import, multiple deployment processes followed between the release environment, and also the master data were manually migrated in each environment. So all these things are made me to work on this ALM for this Power Platform. In order to resolve all these challenges, I have started working on this the deployment automation process. We have defined this process. It's not a thumb rule to follow only this process. Each and every organization will have their own problem statement. For our problem statement and challenges, we have come up with this automation process. Typically, see, as if you see our process, how we generally do is typically if you see all our larger organization, multiple developers will be sharing one single source instance. If the developer is assigned with a user story as a first step, they will come up with the design and they will present it to the solution architects. So based on the solution architects approval, the developers will start working on the user stories. The developers will start doing their customization configuration changes in the source environment. So once the user story is completed, then the developers will export the solution from the source environment using the PowerShell script, and they will unpack it and they will check in only the necessary components into their the Git repository. So once that is done, then the build definition will trigger automatically, and it will pick all the components which is there in that particular folder Azure Git repos, and this will pack it into the solution, and that solution will be pushed to the Azure repos. Once the build definition gets succeeded, the release definition will trigger automatically, and it will pick the solution from the Azure repos and it will deploy it into an QA environment as an unmanaged solution. In our scenario, we are maintaining the unmanaged solutions in a QA environment, whereas the UAT and the production will have the managed copy. And whenever the release is going to happen in the QA environment, the approval email will be sent to the test manager, and based on the test manager's approval, we'll be deploying the particular solutions into the QA environment. Similarly, like for the UAT and the production, we do get the approval from the product owner, and based on the approval from the product owner, we will deploy the components into uh, the production environment. Here as I wanted to include a few of the deployment process for the Dynamics 365 CE also. Like here, as since we are moving the solution from the one environment to another, uh, in the Dynamics 365 CE, we do have a components like web resources, JavaScript files, the plugins, the custom assemblies, all those things will be there. Each and every organization will have their own coding standards and the coding metrics. In order to do the coding standard and the coding metrics, we have a feature called gated check-in to maintain the code quality and the coding standards. Also with the gated check-in, we will make sure like it is not breaking the deployment process. In our Power Platform solution only, we do add all our Dynamics 365 components also. While adding those components, we are by using this gated check-in, we are maintaining the code quality, and also we are maintaining our coding standards, and also we are making sure like our the deployment process, the build is not getting failed. So in order to not to break the deployment process. And as I mentioned here, this is the only step, if you see here, like this is the only step which involves the manual process. Like once the developer completes his work, he need to export the solution, he need to run the partial script and export the solution, unpack it, and he need to commit the components into an Azure repos. This is the only manual step which is involved. Other than that, everything will be automated in our process. And this is our the overall the process diagram of how we have implemented the ALM for the Power Platform. And next here we'll take some moment and understand how we are maintaining our environments. And we do have like a default, a dev, SIT, UAT, and a prod environment. The default environment, by default every user in your tenant can create and edit apps in the Microsoft Dataverse, the default environment that has a database. But we strongly recommend that you create environments for a specific purpose and grant the appropriate roles and privileges only to those people who need them. And we do have like a dev environment. This is like a true source for all our customization and the configuration changes which we are doing it. And next we do have our SIT environment, where we test all our functionalities against the different types of data by the internal test users. And next we do have the UAT environment, where we test all our functionality against the different types of data by the business users. And next we do have the production go live instance. And next we do have the master data. The This also we faced as a challenge while moving the master data from one environment to another environment. We export the master data, and we export the CSV file and we'll import it into the target environment. And if not, then we use the configuration migration tool to create the schema.xml file, and we using that schema.xml file we connect to the source instance and export, and we will import it. All these things we were doing it manually. But so in order to automate this master data, the configuration part, so what we have done is like we have created a pipeline. But for the pipeline you need to generate the schema.xml file using the configuration migration file, and you need to check in into the Git repository. Once any changes to that particular path, if any update happened to that schema.xml file, so automatically the build definition will trigger and it will connect to the source environment, and it will use that schema.xml file as an input, and it will generate the data, it will export the data, and it will push the data file, the data.zip file, into an Azure repos. Once the definition gets completed, the release definition will trigger automatically, and it will pick that the data.zip file, and it will push it into the target environment. So this is how we have done our the master data, the deployment, the configuration deployment from the source instance to the target instance. And before getting into the demo, let's take a moment and understand what all the best practices we need to follow. Like all the source code must be in the source control, like plugins, custom workflows, actions, web resources, HTML, the master data, the security roles, everything should be the Canvas app, model driven app, dashboards, everything should be there in our source control. And we need to check in regularly, and every check-in should trigger the commit process. And commit process should be short, and it should validate the committed component. What I mean is like the gated check-in. So whenever the developer check-ins the code, our the build definition should be enabled with the gated check-in process to make sure what all the committed components are, whether it is matching with our the coding standard and our coding metrics, whether it is meeting all those coding metrics. If it not meeting it, then we are failing that build definition, and we are sending out an email to the developer to fix and recommit the components into the Git repository. And if we are having the source control in place, we can track changes and roll back as whenever needed actually. And these are the prerequisites which we required actually, like Visual Studio 2015, 2017, or 2019. And you can use the Azure DevOps or Git or whatever the source control system. If you want to use it, you can use it. And then we need our Power Platform environment. So for today's demo, I'm considering the two environments. One is a source and the other one is as a destination environment. And next we do have the PowerShell modules. This PowerShell modules will connect to the source environment to export the solution, and once it gets exported, then we are using the solution packager tool to unpack the solution into an unpacked version. And then we are using the Power Platform build tools and the configuration migration tool for the master data deployments. And we all aware that the PowerShell scripts are used with the data centers, clouds, virtual machine servers, and applications to perform a variety of administration tasks. And the Power Platform is not an exception. You can use the PowerShell scripts, and you can connect to the PowerShell script, and you can export the solution from the source environment. You can export, manage, run, manage the patch solution. All those things you can do it actually. And this execution of the script, you can trigger it manually, or if you want to put it in an automated way, if you want to put it in any pipeline, you can do it actually. But this script, I'm using the microsoft.xrm.tooling.crm connector.powershell to establish the connection to the CRM. This will take the username and password on the organization unique name, and it will make a connection to the source instance. Why I'm making this is like to export the solution from the source environment. And then we do have this in the partial script. I'm mainly using this method actually, the get CRM connection. As I mentioned, like this method accepts the organization name and what kind of authentication type we are going to perform, and what is our credentials, what is our username and password. If you mention this, then with this method we'll be able to establish a connection. And this is an export command actually. Once the connection is established, then we will store that into one object, and that connection object will be passing it to this export CRM solution to export the solution. Here you can see the connection name, the solution name, and where you need to download this the solution file path and the solution zip file name. All those things you need to provide it. Okay, this is for the export. And then next we do have this the import. Even in the partial script also we can import the solution to the destination environment, but in today's demo I'll be using the Power Platform builder tools, and I will show how we can import the solution into the target environment. Similarly, like export, here also the import also, it will take the connection object, and here we need to provide the solution file path where the packed solution is there. It will pick and it will deploy it into the target environment. And as I mentioned here, I will be using the solution packager. In the solution packager, we will be using the extract commands. Once the connection is established to the source environment, then we'll be using the extract command. In the solution packager.exe, we do have the extract command and the pack command. So this tool, it can reversibly decompose and the compressed solution file into multiple XML files. And if you have the multiple XML files, and if you provide it to this the pack component pack command, then it will pack it into one single solution file. Where you can find this the solution packager tool is like, if you go to this microsoft.crm sdk.core tools, from the NuGet, you will be able to see the solution packager tool. And you can invoke the solution packager in a command line, and if you pass the certain parameters for the extract and the pack, then you will be able to extract the solution and you can pack the solution. Here in today's demo, I'll be using this extract command. I won't use the pack command. I'll be using the extract command to unpack the solution which we got exported from the source environment. And in the Power Platform build tools, we have one more the component, the one task called the pack solution. And the pack solution, if you see there will be seeing one the mapping file option. So why we need this mapping file is like, while packing the Power Platform solution, so we need to refer the path where it should pick the web resources or the custom assemblies DLL. So in order to define that path, you can use the mapping.xml file and you can define the path where it should pick the latest DLL. There are different types of mapping, like folder mapping is there, file to file mapping is there, and the file to path mapping is there. But generally, I have used the file to file mapping. And in the Power Platform build tools, so you can establish a connection using the two ways actually. One is like using the username and password, and the other way is like the service principal and the client secret. To interact with this Power Platform environment, a connection must be established that enables the various build tools tasks to perform the required actions. As I mentioned, like two ways are there. The first method is like configured as a generic service connection with the username and password, and this username and password way does not support the multi-factor authentication. And we do have the another approach using the client secret and the client ID. And if you go to the connections area and if you click on new connection and if you give there the Power Platform, so the connector will be coming there, and if you click on that, it will ask you to provide the URL, tenant ID, client ID, and the client secret. Where you can get this tenant ID, client ID, and the client secret is like you need to log into your portal.azure.com, and over there you need to go to the app registration and you need to register your the Dataverse environment or the Dynamics 365 CRM environment over there. So once you do that app registration, then if you go to the overview page, then you will get your tenant ID, client ID, and the client secret. You can copy and paste it, and all those three details you will be requiring it while forming your the build definition, or the release definition. If you try to establish a connection there, then under the manage connections, you will get an option to create a connection. So over there, if you click on that, then it will take you to the connections page. There you need to provide all the tenant ID, client secret, and the client ID, and using this also you'll be able to establish a connection to the Power Platform environment. And this connection type uses the service principal based authentication, and also it supports the multi-factor authentication. Even Microsoft also strongly recommend us to use this client ID and the client secret, the way of authentication. So for this, what you can do is like you can create an application user, and you can create this application user. You no need to assign any license. You can create this as a non-interactive user, and if you assign only the system admin and the system customizer role, with that you will be able to do it actually. The same application user, using that you can register your Dynamics or the Dataverse environment into the app registration. With that you will be able to do it. And here is the screenshot of like how I have done the build definition and the release definition. But in the demo I will explain like how I have done it. So let's quickly get into one demo. And this is the Power Platform builder tools, so which Microsoft has released. And here if you go to this the marketplace.visualstudio.com, here you will be able to see the Power Platform builder tools. So you can get this for free if you have the valid Azure DevOps subscription. So you can get this for free. If you click on this get it free, then it will take you to your Azure DevOps page, and it will give you the provision to install this tool into your the Azure DevOps, the platform. So once that is installed, then if you go to the build definition, and if you click on the right hand side, the plus button for adding the task, and if you type the Power Platform build tools, so what are the tasks associated with this Power Platform build tools, all those things you will be able to see it. So here you can see it. So here, since it is already installed, it is showing like this extension is already installed on this organization, Dharanidharan 1743, and you can download this for your the Azure DevOps server, and you can use this inside your Azure DevOps server. So since it is already installed, it is showing me like this. If it is not installed, here you will get to install the provision to install this. And for today's demo, I'm just taking the two environment, like ALM source environment and the destination environment. So in the ALM source environment, I will create a few of the Power Platform the components, like the Canvas app and one the Power Automate, and I will show you like how you can move this components from the source environment to the target environment. And before this, then let me take you to my Visual Studio, and this is how I'm maintaining my solutions. So if you see here, I'm maintaining a single solution, one source control system for both my Power Platform and also for my the Dynamics 365 C one. And so the solution is like ALM fundamentals solutions. Under this, we have this ALM fundamentals common. This will hold all the common the business logic which is related for the plugins and the custom workflows. And next we do have the plugin assembly class, and then we do have the scripts one, which will hold all the scripts which is related to our deployments, like the export solution, import solution, parcel script, and the solution packager. All those things I'm placing it over here. And then next we do have the solutions. So here, what all the solutions we do have in our source environment, all those things we are maintaining the unpacked version in our source control. Once the developer completes his work, then it's responsibility to export, unpack, and check in the necessary components into the Git repository. Once this is done, then the build definition will trigger and it will pack and it will push that solution to the artifacts. But here we are maintaining all the unpacked versions under the ALM fundamentals solution. In my environment, I have like three solutions: ALM demo, fundamentals, and ALM solution. So all those things we are maintaining the unpacked version. Inside this folder, we do have the unmanaged and the managed solutions also. And next, last, we do have the custom workflows. Here it holds all the logic which is related to the custom workflows in the Dynamics 365 CE. So this is how I'm maintaining the solution structure. Then now I will quickly explain you like how you say how I'm using the PowerShell script to export the solution and I'm unpacking it. So here, so this PowerShell script will take a one input called the solution name, and then we do have this username, password, and export location, then instance name, region, type, organization name, organization unique name. It's the organization GUID will be there if you go to the developer resources. Below, if you go there, you can see the unique name. Earlier it starts with the org, but now the Microsoft has replaced this now. So now the org ID only without the hyphen, without the GUID only without the hyphen. They are treating it as a organization name, and then we are providing the solution packager tool path, and what kind of package we are going to use it for the developer deployment. All those things we are defining it in the params. Once this is done, then I'm installing and importing the Microsoft.xrm.data.PowerShell in order to establish a connection to the source environment. For that, I'm first converting this as a secure password. I'm converting the password into a secure string and holding it in the secure password object. This I'm passing it to the PS credential, and I'm creating the credential objects. This credential objects I'm passing it to get CRM connection. This get CRM connection will take a credential, deployment region, online type, organization name as an input, and it will establish a connection, and the connection will be stored into the CRM connection object. So before exporting the solution, I'm making sure once the publish has been done, so in order to miss the changes which has been done in the source environment, so I'm publishing it, and once the publish is done, then I'm exporting both the managed solution and the unmanaged solution to this particular solution zip file path. So you can see the path here. This the export location I have defined here. So if you see the export location to this particular solution, the solutions will be exported in both the managed and the unmanaged format. The same for the unmanaged one, you no need to define the hyphen managed property. If you don't define, then it will consider this as a unmanaged and it will export the unmanaged solution. But whereas if you define this hyphen managed property, then it will by default it will understood like you are requesting for a managed solution, and it will give you the managed solution. Once we have exported the managed and the unmanaged solution, we are unpacking the solution. Actually, how we are unpacking is like here I have kept the solution packager. So we are using the solution packager.exe, and we are executing this extract line. For executing the extract line, I'm mentioning the package type. Here I'm extracting the unmanaged the solution. So I'm packing the package type as an unmanaged solution, and I'm passing the zip file, the solution name, and where it should unpack. And if I give this allow delete and allow delete as each time it will delete all the components inside that folder, and it will unpack and it will give you Whereas if I give this allow delete no, then every time it will unpack and append the components into that particular folder. So this is what my partial script to do. So now as a developer, I got the user story to create a canvas app. So what I'm doing is like I'm going to the source environment, and I will go to this ALM solution, and I will create one first I will create one canvas app. So I will use this the Dataverse one. So I will take accounts. Will take accounts only. So I will save this one. I will put it as a AMS demo. I will say, and I will publish this. So once it gets published, then I will add this the Power Apps into the our solutions. So this is done. So now I will go to the solution here. I will take this ALM solution and I will add the existing canvas app. So here the AMS demo, we can see it. Okay, I need to close this one. So now this is done. Now I will quickly create one flow and I will add this flow also over here. Okay, I will use some other connectors. Okay, I will keep this one in our or else I will see whether any existing flow is there. If not, I will move only the canvas app. I will go to the cloud flow. I don't have any thing. I will quickly create one then. Yeah, I will go for this. So I'm just creating one flow for the sample. So I just added whenever the new email comes, then I will just create that as an account in my system. Okay, from here I will take from the subject and I will just save this one. Okay, so now I will go to the solution and I will go to this ALM solution. I will try add existing this cloud flow. So this ALM solution is already there in the destination environment, but it won't have this the AMS demo canvas app, and it won't have this the particular cloud for. I will go to the see if you go to this destination environment. Here if you go to the solution, this ALM solution will be there, but here we won't have that the component, this canvas app and the power automate which I have created. Now we'll see like how we can move this. Now as a developer he got a requirement to create this canvas app and the power automate, and he has created it, and it's a responsibility once the development is done, and it's a responsibility to add this into one the particular the main solution. And once this is done, then he need to go to the Visual Studio, and he need to so what he need to do is like he need to run this partial script, and it will ask the solution name, and we need to type the solution name here. Once if you type the solution name, then it will make a connection to the source environment, and it will export the solution, both the managed solution and the unmanaged solution, and it will push it. And once the export has been done, then as I mentioned here, we are using the solution packager.exe to extract that solution into a multiple XML files, and that also this partial script will do it. So it is now I think it is exporting the solution. So let it export. In the meanwhile, we'll go to the Azure DevOps, and we'll see like how we have built the build and release pipeline. And this is the Azure DevOps one, and here is my code repository. And how we are maintaining the code repository is like for each and every release, we will take the code from the master branch, and we will create the release branch. And for the developers, they will for each and everything for each and every the features, they will create their own feature branch, and they will work on their own feature branch. Once their the thing is completed, they will commit the code into the feature branch, and they will create a pull request to this release 1.0 branch. So this is how all the developers will be working on it. And once at the time of release deployment, the final deployment, we are taking this the complete set of changes, and we are merging it into one master branch. So so whenever the next release gets created, then we will create the branch from this master branch, and we will work on the release 2.0 branch. So whenever the hotfix comes, then we will create one new branch from the master branch called hotfix, and we'll work on it at the time of hotfix deployment. What we do is like we will merge the code into the master branch and also the current sprint branch. So in order to make sure we are not missing the code, we are deploying the hotfix merge the hotfix changes into both the master branch and also into the particular release branch. So this is how to do it. And this is my the repository, and here is my the build definition, the build and release definition. See, as I mentioned, see, it has established a connection, and it has exported the solution. Here we can see the components actually. See here we can see the workflow, the create account on new email or else. This is the one which I have created, and we do have the Canvas app, so which I have created AMS demo. We can see it over here. So now if you go to the Visual Studio, And if you go to this ALM solution, and if I show this one, here you can see one canvas app will have the three files. One will be the meta.xml file, then the background image URI and MS app file. All those three files we can see it here. And the workflows, if you create and Power Automate, then that will come under the workflows only. So you can see it over here. And whenever the new components is getting created, and you can see the changes in the solution.xml file, the root component will get added. Now it's their responsibility. For example, as a developer, if I export the solution and if I'm seeing one more canvas app, then I should not check in that canvas app, which might be belongs to the developer B. He might not have completed his unit testing, or that is not ready for the deployment. So as a developer's responsibility, I should check in only my necessary components. As part of my user story, I have completed one canvas app and the one Power Automate. So I will commit only this changes. So if I go here and if I do a commit check in, so here you can see it. So I will include this file first. I need to include this in my project, and this two files also I need to include it. Once it gets included, then I'll be able to see this under my changes. Now if I go to this ALM solution and if I right click, and here you can see these are the canvas app changes and these are all my workflows. And if I do a right click and if I compare with the version, and here you can see this one is 29 and one is 300. This two you can see it, 29 is for workflows and 300 is for the canvas app. And if you are changing any other changes in the root component, you should not check in. You should check in only your root component. If you are modifying your canvas app and if you are creating a new canvas app and workflows, then you should check in only your root components in the solution file. If you are seeing some other root component node is getting added here, then you should leave that one. Committing the latest changes. So once it gets checked in, then if I go to this build pipeline, so automatically the build will trigger. If anything, any the deployment happen, any check-in happen to this particular file, then immediately the build pipeline will trigger. So if I go to this pipeline, if I click on this edit mode, I will quickly explain, let it run. In the meanwhile, I will explain. So once you install this, the Power Platform build tool, so then you will be able to see all your Power Platform component, Power Platform, the build tool components here. So if I type here Power Platform, so here you will see all the task. You can make use of all this task: import solution, tool installer, backup. There are lots and lots of features Microsoft has given. So as per your requirement, you can start using it actually. So in our, as part of my build definition, what I am doing was like, and here I have given the trigger actually. Whenever the commit happened to this particular the solution file, then my this one will trigger. And here I haven't enabled the gated check-in, but if you want, you can enable the gated check-in. But here the new get restore. So in order to restore all the DLLs, and once that is done, we are building the solutions to make sure it is not going to break the build. And once that is done, then we need to, if you are using the Power Platform build tools, then it's a mandatory that in your task, in your pipeline, you need to use this as a task, the Power Platform tool installer. What this will do is like, this step will import or install all the PowerShell, the modules which are needed for the deployments. In order to use this Power Platform builder tools, the Power Platform builder tools are using some of the PowerShell scripts. So this tool installer, what it will do is like, it will install all the PowerShell modules which is required for it. And once this is done, then we are packing the solution. For the packing the solution, I'm just providing this particular path. If you go to this Git repository, I will just give the duplicate and I will give to the repos. Here the solution file path, here I'm just defining this the ALM solution file path here as the solution, the source folder of the solution to pack. Here I'm providing it, and here I'm providing this the solution output file where I need to put my output file in the artifacts directory. I'm providing the ALM solution.zip file, and what type of solution I needed. I can mention it over here. So once that's it, once the solution is built, then I am publishing the pipeline artifact. I have given the name as a artifact name as a drop, and I'm publishing the artifacts directory. Now if I go to the build solution, see it got succeeded. Now if I go here, now I will be able to see one file got generated and it is pushed into the drop folder. Here we can see that ALM solution file, and if you go to the task, so here you can see, if you click on this agent job, you will be able to see it. Actually, first, as I mentioned, it is doing the NuGet restore and then building the solution. Then see, this Power Platform tool installer is installing all the PowerShell modules, microsoft.powerapps.administration.powershell and microsoft.xrm.tooling.package-deployment.powershell and microsoft.powerapps.checker.powershell. All this, what are the required partial modules required, all those things it will install. Once this is done, see, we are packing the solution. This is how it will pack the solution. It is processing the components and unmanaged pack complete. Once this is done, then we are publishing in the drop folder. The drop folder, just before some time we have seen, right? So if you go to this, here you can see this drop folder. Here the solution got generated, and in the drop folder it will be available. Once the build gets succeeded, the release will trigger automatically. As I mentioned in the theory, what I mentioned is like here will be having the approval. So here you can see that it is waiting for the approver. It is considered the pre-deployment approver. I have given my name actually. So if I click on approve, then it will pick the solution and it will deploy that solution into the target the instance actually. So this is how we create the pipelines. So I will edit this pipeline. So if you see here, in the release definition, I'm using this three actually: the Power Platform tool installer, the Power Platform import solution, and the Power Platform the publish customization. So all those three I'm using it. So once the solution got pushed to the repos, then this release definition it will trigger, and it will pick the solution and it will import the solution into the target environment. While importing the solution, you can use the authentication type two ways. As you remember, while explaining, I have shown the two ways of the authentication type. One is like the username and password. It does not support the MFA. And next, we do have the service principal way of doing it. And if you click on this manage, it will take you to the connections page. And here you can create your connections. So if you click on this connection, if you want to use the username and password way of doing it, then you need to type the generic way. And if you click on this generic, then it will ask you for the server name, username, password, and if you give the service connection name, then you need to make sure like this is not unchecked. Then if you click on save, the generic connection will get established with the username, password. And whereas if you want to use the server client ID and the client secret way, then you just type here the Power Platform. Then here you can see this Power Platform one. If you click on the next, here it will ask you for the server name, server URL, and tenant ID, application ID, and the client secret. So how you need to get this tenant ID, application ID, and the client secret? You need to go to the portal.azure.com. So under the app registration, you need to register the Dataverse or the Dynamics 365 environment. Once you do this, then if you come back to the overview over there, you will get your tenant ID and the client secret, client ID, and the client secret you need to generate it actually. And over there, you will get a provision to generate the client secret. Once you can generate the client secret, copy it, and then if you put it here, then provide the service connection name. And again, you need to make sure here this is not checked, unchecked. And if you click on save, and this Power Platform service connection will get established actually. So here you can use two ways, but here I'm using the username and password way. And as I mentioned, see, this import solution will pick the file which is there in the Azure the repos, and it will import this file into the destination environment. Here you can mention your timeout however you want, and here you can override your unmanaged customization, and if you want to activate the process, the plugin steps or the workflows after the import, all those things you can do it here. Once this is done, then we are publishing the customization changes. So hopefully my release got failed. The reason is I have enabled this the authenticator, the multi-factor authentication in my instance. That is the reason. I will just quickly I will remove that one. One second, I'm removing it in the other screen. So I will delete this one. Okay, I have deleted it. Now I will go back to the I have deleted it from the security info. Now I will go here, and from my build I will generate the release. Yeah, so let it run. So in the meanwhile, if you have any questions, then please feel free to ask me. So it will take some couple of minutes to run this release definition. So post the release definition, then we'll quickly see the destination environments, how the Canvas app and the Power Automate got migrated there.
Sounds good. This was pretty insightful, Dharni. We have a few questions though while this is happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so just wanted to check on if we could deploy unmanaged solutions using the ALM, and what would that impact be? How good is that, or how bad is that? What's your view?
Yeah, so even you can use the unmanaged solution using this ALM for the, so in my case also for the QA environment, I'm using this the unmanaged solutions to deploy it into the QA environment. Whereas for the UAT and the production environment, I'm using this the managed solution and deployment.
Sounds good.
So yeah.
And also, do we have to maintain the XML map file manually?
Yeah, mapping.xml file when the you need to generate that mapping.xml file, and you need to define the where the for this particular plugin where it should refer to the plugin assembly in your Azure repo. Similarly for the web resources also, you need to refer the path where it should pick the latest code from. If you are not defining that, then it will pick it from your Azure, the normal repos, the where you are defining the path, right? This particular release branch,
Uh-huh.
and from there it will pick it and it will pack it up. Yes.
Okay, cool. So we are almost done. We have a minute left, so I'll just ask one more question, and then if you can
Yeah.
refer them from the chat, that'd be nice.
Sure.
So the question is, you've put allow delete as no at some place, and then the question is, how do you register delete components when with source control?
For example, if you want to delete the few components from the destination environment you are asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that scenario, like if it is an unmanaged solution, for sure you need to delete the components from there. If it is a managed solution, then if you move the managed solution with the deleted components, obviously it will override and it will delete the components from the target environment. If it is an unmanaged one, for sure you need to make a note of it and you need to manually delete the components from the target environment.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So, do you have
Yeah, there is some issue with the import solution actually, but I will take the previous the release one which got completed successfully, and I will show it to you since we are running short of time. So
yeah?
this is how you can see here, like the import solution. So it got connected to the target environment aldestination.crm8.dynamics.com, and here it got imported, and it will give you back the import ID. And once this is done, then we are publishing the customization changes into the target environment. So this is how it
Yeah,
will do.
this
So
is
once it is done, then if you come to the destination environment, then we will be able to see the components here in the solutions.
pretty cool, Dharni. Also, could you please post some of your contact information on the chat so if somebody has questions, they can reach out?
Yeah, sure, yes, I will do it.
Great. So, I'll stop the recording and start it again for the next session.